Hi folks, how are you doing? How things? It has been a while. As a matter of fact, it has been so much of a while, I have almost forgotten how to start a live, how to do a live, how to set up a live. So I'm apologizing for it, me being late. It's because there was some changes in the software that I tend to use. There were changes to the software that I was unaware of, so I had to spend an hour giving myself a crash course in how this software works again. So, you know, give me a second, just now. So it's nice to be here. It's nice to do a live, to set up for a live. Where's Tech Guy? Tech Guy is not here. And Tech Guy actually doesn't have to be here because this is stuff that I can do for myself on my own. It's just that the software had updates that took place within the last 6 months or so. And because I've not been doing lives on a regular basis and not keeping up with what's going on the software, I was unaware of all of the changes. So let me show that I have some manners and brought up. See here, let me start by saying good evening to people. Marva, Daryl, Daniela, Pamela, Stacy, Joseph, Tika, George, Debbie, Altier, Gloria, Lauren, Denise, Yvette, 29 Super C, Sheldon Sayers, Rude Trude, who else is there, boy? Kaden, Sweden, Marlene, Vexation Morning, Brian Patterson, formerly Luke Attack, Pulimis now, oh Lord, the names, Gemma, Janelle Smith, Rena, Trini Slick. Yes, I've seen his backs that you want. Nutsman in the chat, boy. Salt and first. So if you need nuts, it have a Nutsman in the chat. Hi Karen. Hi Cindy. So yeah, when I eventually sorted out the software issues, I decided that I would start the live at 8. So when I set it up, it was actually, the setup should have been saying to you on your end that I would be starting at 8 p.m., not at 7 p.m. So I just kind of assumed that it was showing that I was going to start at 8 p.m. instead of 7 p.m., which is why I didn't come in to say otherwise. Like I didn't put up a post or anything like that to say otherwise. But it's nice to be here. It's nice to see you all. Putting my eyes on so that I'm seeing everything, because of course as age hitting we. Hi Margaret, hi Chancellor 7 of 9, hi Cynthia, hi Candace Bruce. As I get older, my eyes. Hi Jamoon, Alamu the first, and the gorgeous baby in your profile pic. Hi Sheldon Jack, hi Renee George, Chris Edwards. So I'm glad that you all were holding strain for me, Sydney. Thanks for that. Jazzy Boisson, Allison Henry, Kobe Sandy, Shaquille Maloney, Linton Loftus, Mandy Pereira, or Pereira Mandy, however it is go. Jared Matthews. Thank you to all of you. Anolia ain't just hold strain tonight. Anolia was holding strain for months because I haven't done a live since when, boy? Because I mean, well, when I say I haven't done a live, I haven't done one of these lives. I've done 1 or 2 lives, like from my yard. That's lipstick on my teeth? No. Right. I've done a few lives from my yard, just sit down on a chair, sweating after I play football with the dogs, and talk to you about a range of things. But something like this, where I sit down and set it up and make sure that I have supporting information and evidence to be able to do the live. I have not done this in a while, and I'll let you know now from the jump, because I'm not going to wait until this thing done to say it. this is going to be the last live from me for a while. I can't even tell you when exactly I'm going to be back on doing a live. But there were a couple things that I felt it was necessary, absolutely necessary, for me to come and talk to you guys about before taking what is essentially going to be a hiatus from all social media for me, because I need to take that break. It has become important and imperative for me to take that break. So, hey, why am I taking my name off? So, the name of this live is OnlyFans. And I was toying with a whole bunch of ideas, right? All you know, the Miss Venezuela, who was a Miss Trinidad, who then decided, I must leave now, I have to go now, or whatever it is she say. Right. She have a OnlyFans page, right? And I'm sure plenty earlier know what OnlyFans is about. So I was going, at first, I was going to do a picture like the one that she had on her OnlyFans now. And then tech guy said to me, are you mad? Are you crazy? So I decided against that, and then it, I figured, well, since feet pics is a big deal on OnlyFans and nobody know what Kamala toes looking like these days, I say, all right, we go in with feet pics, right? We go in and sort things out looking at people's foot. I seen real people: Joan Rampassad, NDJ, Celestine Josephine, Carol Guevara. Wow, plenty people. I didn't even think I'll be able to call out all the names. Janice Frederick Seeley. Hi, Auntie Janice. Nigel Thomas. Caudry Genesi. Michelle Superwoman. The Patriot. Paula Barrimon. Thank you all for showing up and for providing all of the support that you've shown this evening. Good. So, what's the first thing? All you know is like to talk about good news, right? So we're going to do one good news story. Listen, Philip decided he can't fix it. That is what is went on. All you... I try not to laugh. I try to be a good person. I try to be a bigger person. I try to be a better person. But I'm going to fail tonight. I'm going to fail, and I'm going to fail bad. So let me explain why I'm going to fail. Philip on shit. Let me be very clear. Philip on shit. Philip has fixed nothing. Philip will fix nothing. And Philip will continue to make all the noise in the world like if he has fixed something. I want all you to be very honest on yourself, be very, how can I say, balanced and unbiased. Name one thing, one project, one public issue that Philip Edward Alexander took on and made a difference with. One, just one thing. And I tell you why I asked that, right? Because I could name several things that I have impacted. I can name several public issues that I make noise about and something happened. And at no point in time, my ego will ever be so large that I will come and tell all you, Rhoda will fix it. Right? That will never be me and my ego. Philip come a day and tell everybody how he going to provide jobs for people. All remember that? Send him $50. Come with your personal information, and he go fix you up for the cost of $50 until I show the whole country that you ain't had to go and give Philip your personal information and no $50 to be able to look for a work or find a job. So Philip, let me give all of the backstory to this story here about how he's stepping out of politics and he ain't seeing that he going to do anything. And let me tell you why it's full of shit. It's a real bullshit story. Local government elections ended. And when local government elections ended, Philip was up and down all over the place pointing out that he had made more of an impact than NTA. Me and if all remember that. But he did a series of lives and a series of posts where he was pointing out that the PEP had more of an impact and more of a following than the NTA. So, you would think that if a political party like the PEP, coming off the heels of local government 2023, has determined that it has a larger audience and a larger following, that they would start to build, because 2025 is just now. And so you're thinking to yourself, well, if I have this massive following, if I have more people interested in what it is I have to say and the things that I have to do, right, then surely Philip going and build on that. Surely he going to start to do public meetings all over the place, because based on things that Philip said in the public domain, he had more following in other areas, PNM strongholds, UNC strongholds, than the NTA. So if you have more enthusiastic followers in them areas, you wouldn't strike while the iron hot. You wouldn't start to have more cottage meetings. You wouldn't start to do things to build capacity. So, let me tell you what is going on. Philip has another baby that is due. He has a little daughter, lovely little girl, and you all would have seen the post that he wrote about her recently, where he and Bella went trick-or-treating in Westmoreland, I think it was. Yes, he landed down in Westmoreland with Bella, and some little Afro-Trini boy decided to share his sweets with her. So Philip has a daughter, young enough that she would be going trick-or-treating. My understanding is that Mr. Edward Alexander is expecting another baby. He's about to become a father again. And further to that, I am told that the baby is not going to be born in Trinidad and Tobago, that the baby is going to be born somewhere further north. So because the baby is going to be born somewhere further north, he, of course, because if he's going to be a good father, he ought to be at the child mother's side when she's about to make the baby and be present and play an active role in the birth of the child. So basically, this whole big "don't cry for me Argentina" moment from the leader or former leader or could be leader or sometimes leader of the PEP is a situation where he had a hops and head somewhere else to be able to change pampers and mix formula and feed a baby when the night come, and he come and he hit already, well, you know, this is such a difficult thing for me, but I can't see that I have anything else to contribute here. Oh God, Philip, nobody would have vexed with you. All you had to say to people is, I'd go abroad because I'm expecting an next child. That is all. Unless, of course, you are afraid of people throwing talk for you and asking you if Trinidad is not a good enough place for your child to be born in and to be raised in. Because that's a question I would love to ask. After all the talk you talk about wanting to lead in this country, because remember, Philip positions himself as a leader, right? As a political leader and as somebody who could fix things in this country. What message does it send that the political leader of a party who is saying that he can lead this space, he could run this country, and he could fix this country, is happier to have his children be born and raised in a different country? What message is that sending? The other thing all you need to be aware of is this. The public knows that Philip lost a defamation lawsuit to the Minister of Finance, right? So Colman Burt took Philip to court for defamation, and he won the matter, and I think is something over $500,000 Philip has to pay in boot. I have been told, I'm reliably informed, that last week Philip lost another defamation matter. Philip apparently back in 2020, I think it was. I'm subject to correction. Let me consult my oracle. Right? I want to be 100% certain when I say this to you. Philip lost a defamation case last week. And so it was, the case is against Michaela Pandey. So back in 2020, when Michaela stepped down and bowed out of the general elections race, Philip made some comments in a live that were defamatory. And Michaela Pandey took Philip to court. And last week, Philip lost that case as well. And my understanding is Michaela Pandey was awarded $850,000 in damages. So Philip currently has more than $1 million to pay in defamation damages. So it would not surprise me if those things are also playing a role in him stepping out of the limelight, right? I could understand that. Yes, I have to consult Oracle Beach. What is wrong with you? I can't not consult Oracle. So that is the good news, right? Philip done fix it. Philip ain't fixing nothing right now, not for the foreseeable future. As a matter of fact, if my sources are correct, if my oracle has given me correct information, the only thing Philip going to be fixing in the near future is a bottle of feed for the baby, right? That's about it. You're going to fix some feed for the baby. Why doing the boy? I can't not talk to you about the UNC. What was the first thing I want to do, boy? Where to start? Where to go? Where to be? How to do? Let me start with this interview.
The political leader of the United National Congress, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, does not believe there is an attempted coup or an attempt by members of parliament, senators, etc., to overthrow her. Now, these claims started on the Ian Allen program, where he said he has received information that some people are going around to get signatures to overthrow the woman from her party. However, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, she spoke with I-95.5 FM, and this is what she had to say. She doesn't really believe that this is what is taking place.
You're calling me. You should call them and see if it's true. I don't believe it. I think they're all fake rumors. Okay, they're rumors. Distraction, a further distraction to make us look divided and so on. I don't believe any of those things. I will get all my MPs and senators, NATEX, councils, everybody. If you could give me evidence otherwise, I'll welcome it.
So here we are. The claims have been made. She's unaware of it. And if you look at the Express newspaper and Guardian newspaper, they would have spoken with several of the members of parliament and senators, and they said that they support Kamala Persad-Bissessar as leader. Now, Mrs. Persad-Bissessar is saying that this is all a distraction. What do you make of it? Do you think that Ian Allen's claims had any truth to it? Or do you think that what the leader is saying, that, she doesn't believe it, and whoever has proof to bring it forward?
What do you think? Now, the first problem is, why is Kamala at 8 o'clock in the morning in an interview sounding like that? Right? Why is she sounding like somebody either pull her out of a deep, deep, deep sleep? Sometimes you wake up stupid, so you're talking all kind of foolishness, or you're drunk. I mean, that interview was nothing short of embarrassing. Now, Kamala is saying that there's no truth to it, right? No truth to the issues that are being raised there about dissent in her party. And if that is the case, I'm going to ask a couple questions. Because a couple weeks ago, I had put up a post where I said that I had heard about some unrest in the party, right? And I talked about having heard about an email that had been sent. I had the email to put up here, but I want to put it up here no more. I want to put it up on this side so they could see it better. Right, good. Right. Do I remember how to small up myself? Yes, I do. I remember how to small up myself. So, I'm going to close this. This is a memo that was sent on the 17th of October at 11:56 a.m. All you know, you all a girl. I just like to bring the receipts for you. As a woman, just make sure my receipts book fat. So when I'm telling people about things, when I'm explaining things to people, when I'm breaking things down to people, they will understand that I don't arrive at conclusions just so, right? I don't jump to conclusions. I don't leap to conclusions. I just pay attention, I just observe, I just watch patterns of behavior, and I just start to stitch things together when I see in particular patterns of behavior. So you can't turn wrong and tell me I just jumped to a conclusion, because I don't jump to conclusions. I don't like to jump much. And you know why I don't like to jump much? These ain't small. So when these ain't small and you jump in, you just feel the weight now. So as a woman, just take my time and figure things out, right? So here we go. This memo says, and this is a memo from October the 17th. I am writing to inform you about a new initiative that has been authorized by the leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar, SCMP. We are establishing a special social media team to manage and develop our online platforms. This team will report to myself, the PRO, as well as MP Ravi Ratiram. The primary goal of this team will be to create and curate online content to promote the leader's activities, events, and achievements on various social media platforms. Engage with our audience and defend the leader from attacks. Monitor online discussions and trends. The leader has requested that this team also monitor the social media platforms of, and look at the list of names whose platforms she wants, according to this memo, to be monitored. MP Rushton Parry, first person. MP Dinesh Rambali, MP Rodney Charles, MP Anita Haynes, MP Michelle Benjamin, MP Vandana Mohit, MP Rudy Indar Singh, MP Rudal Munilal, MP Lakram Bodo, MP Rai Ragbir, Senator Jayanti Lakshmi Dayal, Senator Damian Lyda, Senator David Naked, Senator Jolene John. Now, I have been reliably informed by persons within the UNC that there is a lot of tensions and chaos because people have been brokering for safe seats, right? You know, is 16 or so safe seats that the UNC has. And so there is a lot of brokering. There are people who are in seats that are currently marginal seats. They want safer seats than the marginal seats. They are also angling to get other seats within, even though they are in safe seats, they want to angle to get other seats so that they can be larger power brokers, right? And then of course there are persons who want to position themselves to be able to wield more power within the party with reference to selection. So me, you know, if all you're paying attention to the fact that the Mahasabha, right, an organization that represents at least one sect of Hindus here, they have been at war with the United National Congress. As a matter of fact, for this Diwali period that just went here, Kamla, I'm told, was not allowed to attend Mahasabha Diwali celebrations. So all of the Diwali celebrations that she attended would have been celebrations that would have been hosted by other organizations. Right? So other community organizations or other religious organizations would have been holding and hosting Diwali events. That is what she was allowed to attend, not Mahasabha hosted events. So, yes, no. And this is the end of the letter, the next part of the letter. Because I hear Kirk get up a day with his tongues high up in the ass and was calling my name on Facebook. But, oh, he gonna sue me and he gonna send me a pre-action protocol letter. Kurt, I get the whole letter in my inbox. You would notice that I removed things so that all you can know who it is send me the letter. But I get the whole letter in my inbox because it have people inside the UNC who fed up of you, Kurt. They fed up of you. So the rest of the letter says, to achieve these goals, we are looking for your office staff who have experience or keen interest in social media management and content creation. This initiative aligns with our organization's commitment to staying current and relevant in the digital age, and we believe it will contribute positively to our mission. We appreciate your cooperation and confidentiality. As we move forward with this endeavor. If you have any questions or require further information, please do not hesitate to reach out. Sincerely, the PRO of the UNC. So let's go back to the list of 16 names because I want to explain something to all you. Why are you having a social media team monitor platforms of various persons and only monitor those platforms? So let's read the paragraph that is right underneath the list of names. It says, the social media team is tasked to defend the leader online and promote her as the only person who is capable of leading our party. This team should also make comments pointing out how these names mentioned above are underperforming as MP or senators and should not be a part of the UNC in future. Me write it. It reached in my inbox, and according to the document, it's Kirk Megu who write it. Right? Not me. It reached in my inbox, and that is what the document says. Monitor these list of names, and as often as possible promote Kamla as the only leader and make comments pointing out how these names mentioned above are underperforming as MP or senators and should not be a part of the UNC in the future. So I want to know, if you're the leader of a political party, why all of this bangarang had to take place? Why you can't simply sit down and tell these 10 MPs and 4 senators all you're underperforming, and by 2025 are going to phase all you out? As a matter of fact, she had to wait to phase out the senators. Kamla could change senators at any point in time she wants. She might have to wait for an election to change MPs, but she could change the senators whenever. So why go through this? So what I've been made to understand is that there is a lot of infighting in the United National Congress. As a matter of fact, there are persons who are in support of Rushton Paré to function as a political leader. And that's why Kamla has not yet called an internal elections, because the UNC is due to have an internal elections for leadership, and she's putting off calling a date because there is all of this infighting taking place. And she also knows she's not well. Try as much as she's trying to avoid that, she knows she's not well. So here you have, as a matter of fact, I sure have a picture I want to share here with all you. Let me move this around. Check out this picture. As a matter of fact, let me embiggen it for you. Kamala has this habit of, oops, let me pay it this way. Kamala has this habit of needing to position herself as a deity, as a goddess. And when I saw this is an image from Diwali. I can't remember where she had gone to, but there was a massive show of strength at this particular Diwali event, right? So she called out councillors, MPs, senators, and positioned herself in the middle of this scenario, right? So you have Hanuman, you have Sita, you have Ram. I don't know who all of the Ram Lila characters are, and then she is there in the center. Now, this is not your traditional Diwali picture. It's not your traditional Diwali picture. It's not your traditional Diwali scene. I'm going to blow it back up for you, and I want you to watch it and think of what religious picture it reminds you of. Right, so just take a second and take a look at it and think of what religious picture it reminds you of. Let me see who bright. Correct. Nicely done, Jasmine, Judy, Sarah Richard, sorry. Right? My girl, because I remember for local government elections, she had started appealing to the evangelical audience. So my girl has decided that she is going to position herself almost like the Christ in the Last Supper in this picture. Right? Because Kamala must always position herself as a goddess. So, couple things, right? Couple things. I mean, when you see a picture like that, and you see Kamala position herself so, you had to ask yourself, so who is Judas? Who's Judas in that picture? Now, based on where Councillor Dudnat Meru position himself on the end, I don't know. Is he Judas? I don't know. In any case, so let me talk a few things. The UNC is on the verge of collapse. And I'm not saying that. I am not saying that because I want the party to collapse. That's not why I'm saying that. I'm saying that because there is no way the UNC, as it currently stands, can win another general election. And hear me out. Nobody remotely interested in voting for Kamala Persad-Bissessar as a prime minister. So she will continue to be the political leader of the UNC for as long as she can remain as the political leader of the UNC. Let's say, for the sake of argument, she manages to get to 2025. If she puts up a slate for the general elections, even if she tries coalition, because she tried coalition for the local government elections and it blew up in her face. It didn't work at all. And that's because the country, or the voters here generally, have a bitter taste in their mouth for the concept of coalition politics whenever the UNC is involved, particularly because they remember 2010. And because they remember 2010 and they remember the 63-month period that took place subsequent to May 24, 2010, the idea of a coalition government led by a UNC that is led by Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Nobody's interested. Nobody is interested at all. So Kamla is essentially poised to be opposition leader for life once she remains as the political leader of the United National Congress. So now, here we are, end of 2023. So we have 2024 and part of 2025 because elections in 2020 was in August. So if we go with how the People's National Movement tends to function when it is in government, there will be another election date on or around August, let's say August, September in 2025. So if there's an election for around August, September 2025, it means that all political parties, not just the UNC, have 2024 to put their house in order, begin to campaign, begin to build traction. And since we know, based on our political history here in Trinidad and Tobago, that it's usually a coalition that needs to unseat the PNM, the question has to be, how is Kamla going to be able to form a coalition and to convince the country that she is the political leader that people want to lead a coalition? So as it stands, with the current iteration of the UNC, there really isn't that much of a threat for the People's National Movement. So people inside the UNC, they see this, they know this, they understand this. And because they see, know, and understand this, that's why there is a push and a thrust inside the UNC now to be able to remove Kamla Persad-Bissessar as political leader. Because everybody knows, if Kamla remains there as political leader, the PNM wins in 2025. Everybody knows that. It ain't taking no maths to work that out. You ain't had to be no boss strategist or anything like that to figure that out. Nobody is going to trust a UNC-led coalition that has Kamla as its political leader. All right, so that's why there's so much tension now within the UNC to have Kamla be removed as the political leader. Because if the UNC doesn't win an election in 2025, what do you think is going to happen to the party? The party is going to collapse, because that would be 3 consecutive terms in opposition, 3 consecutive terms of losses. The party is going to collapse. There is no way, if they lose in 2025, that the party is going to survive and thrive and grow with the current iteration of the party. And so that's why there's been so much of a push between local government elections to now to begin to force change inside the United National Congress. So that's all I had to look for. All I had to look for how change is going to be effected inside the UNC. If they manage to change the political leader, then 2025 becomes a proper race. If they don't manage to change the political leader, then the only way the PNM can lose 2025 is if it scores an own goal. And it's not impossible for the PNM to score an own goal. That's why I just call them Own Goal United FC. Because they're real good at scoring own goals. But we go see. But I wanted to stop and pause and talk a little bit about the UNC and how it is struggling to remain relevant. Let me tell you how hard it is right now for the UNC to struggle to remain relevant. Its financiers have moved over to the PNM. I mean, I'm not guessing that. I'm not speculating that. I'm not joking about that. There are events and fundraisers that the People's National Movement throws or has from time to time. And when you go to those events and fundraisers and you see who is present at those events and fundraisers, then you begin to see that many of the people that would normally be financing the UNC, many of the people that would normally be funding the campaigns of the United National Congress have now started to show up at PNM fundraising events. And because they are there at PNM fundraising events, I realize that the UNC is starving. And if the UNC is starving and it doesn't have financiers to fund its campaign come 2025, without the funding from financiers, the UNC cannot make a proper bid for the elections. And that's where you have it with respect to the local politics. Now, I hadn't actually planned on doing or saying a lot with respect to local government elections this year. As a matter of fact, I was going to sit local government elections out entirely. It's partly why I had decided there was not going to be any lives at all during local government elections, because me want nobody say that I was influencing the outcome of a local government election. But then the NTA jumped in the dance and I said, nah, it ain't no way I go in and let Griffith and them get away with talking all kind of foolishness on platforms unchallenged. And so that's why I did a couple informal lives and of course did some posts about the various political meetings that was taking place. But since the local government elections, I was clear that neither the UNC nor the PNM was going to be winning more seats than the other. I felt that it was going to be a draw. And that draw tells you about how disenchanted and fatigued the voter base, the electorate is. Because the voters are tired, they're exhausted, they're fed up of politics. They're fed up of nasty politics. They're also fed up of the politics of the same. Because the politics here feels very static, it feels very stagnant, it feels as if nothing new is taking place. And so, because the politics feels stagnant, because the politics feels like it ain't going no way, you ain't feeling like if things happening, you're feeling as if, we stuck in a rut. As a result of that, was that sit properly? Well, just now, give me a second here. No, just no. I will cock up if I feel like cocking up. This is my house. All of it. My house. You ain't paying no bills here. No. So, because the politics feels very stagnant and feels very static, you will find that the electorate is a very fatigued electorate. That's the best way to put it. Just fatigued. We fed up, we tired, we want to hear anything about it. And so generally there is not a lot of interest in the politics from the electorate. Certainly not from young voters or even marginal voters. So I've been looking at a lot of comments and commentary online with people saying, they see no difference between the UNC and the PNM. And if there are no changes in either of the political parties between now and 2025, that's what both the PNM and the UNC will have to fight. The PNM won't necessarily be fighting the UNC, because the UNC with Kamala as the political leader ain't going to do anything new or different. Kamala is going to continue to do her politics of race division and race baiting and that kind of foolishness. And the PNM is going to have to fight an electorate that is quite frankly fed up and bored and frustrated with politics. Kathleen, we're laughing at. No, Kathleen, how you gonna reach to tell me sit down properly? It's a big hardback woman you talking to. Please. So that's what's going on there with PNM, UNC, local politics. And I feel at this point, there isn't anything more new or different that I need to say about politics. 2024 is going to work its way out. Whether there are new parties that register and jumping up in the dance, whether it's the same set of people who jumping up and, running them out, left, right, and center. 2025 is when the rubber going to hit the road, and you will be able to determine whether the PNM is doing differently and energizing its electorate and voter base, and whether the UNC has managed to get rid of the albatross around its neck, that is Kamala, because Kamala drowning the UNC right now. Punto final. And if they haven't managed to get rid of Kamala as the political leader, the UNC have nothing to win in 2025. It will be whether or not the PNM can get past an apathetic electorate. That's it. Because the electorate, I keep saying voter base, the electorate right now is very apathetic. People are really feeling like, right? So if they can get past that apathy, then they're going to hold at least 22 seats, maybe 23 seats, come general election 2025. And that's me giving all you my analysis of what 2025 looking like right now. It could change. That could change if there is change within the United National Congress, if there is another political party that starts up, steps up, has the kind of financial backing that would lead to winning general elections, and it looks fresh and new and has seized the imagination of the vote of the electorate. But if there is no party that has seized the imagination of the electorate, then it will be, I think, pretty much like a foregone conclusion for 2025. Okay. Next, what's the next thing I want to talk to you about? How Frank come and derail. Okay. This is important. I need to give you all an update. And I had considered doing a live to talk about it. So there are a couple things. Gary and I are locked in numerous defamation lawsuit cases right now. And not one of those cases has actually yet gone to trial. What I've experienced is a range of legal action from Gary to either muzzle me, shut me down on a range of things. So the most recent ruling that the media would have reported on, they reported on it only partially. So yes, I was ruled to have been in contempt of court, but let me explain that contempt of court order ruling. I did a live. I can't go into all of the details because going into the details could get me in trouble again. I did a live, and after I did that live, Mr. Man sent me a pre-action protocol letter. The pre-action protocol letter gave me basically somewhere between 48 to 72 hours to respond. It was not enough time for me to be able to respond. So, thereafter, he would have filed documents in court for an injunction. So let's say a pre-action protocol letter was sent to me on a Tuesday. By the Friday, he would have gone to court, filed an injunction. The injunction would have been heard the following Tuesday. I was not present at the injunction because I was only told at around 10 o'clock the morning of the injunction that I had to be in court for 1 o'clock, and I couldn't find my lawyer to to be able to be in court for 1 o'clock. So the judge hears the injunction with me absent and issues an order, a penal order, if I'm not mistaken. So I shared the pre-action protocol letter on my wall with my supporters, with you guys, because I wanted you all to see what things I couldn't talk about. So I shared the order, the committal order, and the pre-action protocol letter. The error that I made was to share the pre-action protocol letter. So it was fine for me to share the court order. The mistake I made was to share the pre-action protocol letter because the statements that Griffith was claiming are defamatory statements was a part of the pre-action protocol letter. So in sharing the court order and in sharing the pre-action protocol letter, Griffith's lawyer then argued that I had repeated the allegedly defamatory statements. And I say allegedly defamatory because we ain't gone to court yet to determine whether the statements were defamatory or not, right? So, because I posted the pre-action protocol letter, the court ruled that I was in contempt of court. What media didn't report on was this. Gary wanted the court to put me in jail for 21 days and to take all of my possessions. Right? That's what he asked the court to do. Put me in jail for 21 days and confiscate all of her property. The court told him no, not at all. So the only thing that had to happen as a result of that particular matter, and we ain't reached the defamation matter yet, was I had to pay the cost of the injunction because I wasn't present at the injunction. And so that is where we are at. I have court with Gary next week. And what you all need to understand is this. From around the local government elections period to now, I have had almost weekly court dates where Gary Griffith is concerned. Very regularly on a Friday, I have had court matters. I've had to show up to court, whether it's for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, wherever it is. I've had to show up to court almost weekly. So I have court again on Monday. And then I have a couple more court dates in 2024. So it's been a long, protracted, drawn out period, but I figured it was important for you all to understand where and why and how that contempt of court thing came around. I had considered doing a live about it, but then I said, you know what? Who really gives a fuck at this point in time? I was so tired. I was so fed up. I was so frustrated over a whole bunch of things. So I knew at some point in time I would come and I would explain to you all. So that's Caroline want to know if he hot for me. Caroline, I'm beginning to think that that must be the case. It's the only thing that makes sense at this stage. And let this be a lesson to you to not, if a man come and tell you he want to smell it, don't let him smell it. That's my advice to you, Caroline. All right? Don't let him. Because what has happened is, it's just be a harassment thereafter. Not that I'm saying that he asked. I'm just saying, generally, don't do it. So that's that. Where's this? Oh no, that's that. Okay, so we had to talk about guns a little bit. And I'm hoping I do this sensibly. Because there's a tricky thing for me to talk about here. And it's tricky because there's so many investigations going on. and it's tricky because of the implications, and it's tricky because it's actually a little bit problematic and dangerous for me to talk about these things. But I feel it's important for me to raise these things and explore some of these things with you guys. So wait, now I forgot to do a heading. I'll talk about this now. It doesn't matter. So this is just an image of a gun hole, but it's an image of a gun hole when Griffith was Commissioner of Police. And I felt I wanted to use this image because Gary has become so synonymous with guns, FULs, and an FUL industry, that when I went looking for pictures, and I found this picture, I thought it was ironic that, you know, one of the early pictures of him is him standing in a room with, you know, drugs and gun hole. So here goes. Where's that image? It's just two tables of information I want you all to look at. So this is information from the TTPS. I want you all to look at the years, and I want you all to look at the numbers. So it starts from 2016 and it goes to 2022, right? And it looks at the number of import permits that were granted. Hey, let me put myself here so they could see me. Right. It looks at the number of import permits granted to FUL dealers. It looks at the quantity of firearms approved to be imported, and it looks at the quantity of ammunition approved to be imported. So in 2016, 81 import permits were granted. In 2017, 54 import permits were granted. In 2018, the figure shoots back up to 91 import permits. In 2019, it goes from 91 permits to 150 permits. In 2020, it goes up to 306 permits. In 2021, it goes down to 115 permits. And in 2022, it goes down to 35 permits. I don't have any 2023 data. I want you all now to pay attention to the quantity of firearms that would have been approved to be imported. And I want you all to bear a couple things in mind. Only the Commissioner of Police can grant import permits for guns. Only the Commissioner of Police can approve the quantity of firearms to be imported. And only the Commissioner of Police can approve the quantity of ammunition to be imported, right? And all of this falls under the commissioner, that office's remit in the Firearms Act. So in 2016, 1,620 firearms were approved. In 2017, 1,666 firearms were approved. In 2018, 5,422 firearms were approved. In 2019, the figure dipped to 2,720 firearms. And then in 2020, it skyrocketed to 64,553 firearms approved to be imported. And in 2021, it went down by about 20,000 to 43,757 firearms approved for importing. And then in 2022, we went down to a very minimal 2,701. There was a change as well in how much ammunition was being brought into the country that was approved to be imported into the country. So in 2016, it would have been 6,170,325 rounds of ammunition. In 2017, it went down to 4 million, just a little 4.7 million. In 2018, it went down to 2.6 million rounds of ammunition. Then in 2019, the figure started climbing. It went up to 8.3 million rounds of ammunition. And then in 2020, 57,194,173 rounds of ammunition was imported into the country. And then in 2021, that figure went down to 18,899,000 rounds. And then in 2022, it went down to 8.6 million rounds of ammunition. So here is the question I want to plant in all your head. Because me ain't calling nobody name, right? I show you some figures and I want all you to understand something. If you're importing so many guns into the country and you're importing so many rounds of ammunition into the country, because 57 million rounds of ammunition, that is 44 times the population, right? We only have 1.4 million people here, and that's 57 million rounds of bullets that you're bringing into the country. Who buying all them guns and who buying all them bullets? Because remember, we don't have a significant gun owning population here, and I'm talking about legal firearms. I'm not talking about illegal because I don't know how many illegal guns we have in the country. So when you have decided that you are moving from 1,620 firearms for the year to 64,553 guns for the year, who buying all them guns? Where those guns going? In whose homes? Is it the same list of persons who have applied for FULs, who already have their FULs, that going to be buying those guns? Or is it that you have anticipated that you are going to expand the number of persons who are going to be able to own guns? And so here's what I want all of you to stop and think about. Imagine you are a dealer, and imagine that you are a dealer and you went and you invest and bring in a set of guns, right? So in 2020 or 2021, you bring in a set of guns, you import a big shipment of guns in anticipation of a gun industry here exploding, getting larger, because you're hearing that more people going to be getting the FULs. So of course, when you hear that more people going to be getting the FULs, you're bringing in more guns and you're bringing in more bullets because you're anticipating that there is going to be a larger market for guns and FULs. What happens when 2022 comes and the policy for FULs change? Me calling no names, eh? All I saying is 2019, 2020, 2021, you see the shift to more guns and more bullets. 2022, you see a sharp decline. fewer FULs, fewer guns, fewer bullets. All that stock that's sitting on people's shelf now, all them places that's selling guns, all that stock that's sitting on their shelf, what going on with that stock? What do you think going on with that stock? When you bear in mind that if you take a gun and you change up the fittings for the gun, it is very possible that nobody could trace the identity on the gun, right? So the fingerprint for the gun and the fingerprint for the bullet that comes out of the gun, you can't find those things. You can't trace those things anymore. What do you think is going on with all of this stock that came into the country and is sitting down in the storerooms and warehouses of the persons that would have done the importing? And that's why these figures are so important. Because when you see the quantity of guns and rounds of ammunition that were imported in anticipation of the explosion of a gun industry here, you then pause and you think to yourself, well, so what I'm doing with all that stock? It just sitting down there waiting? Who was supposed to be getting all of them FULs for all of the various guns there? So the point that I'm trying to make is this. There is every possibility that the gun crisis that we are dealing up with here in Trinidad and Tobago right now is not only linked to illegal guns. I'm going to say it again. There is every possibility that the gun crisis that we are dealing up with here in Trinidad and Tobago are not just illegal guns coming in from Latin America. Some of this could be guns that came in here legally through customs, that were approved importation of firearms, and we, because our ballistic center is not working the way it ought to be working, we're not sure how many of those guns are in use, being circulated. We don't know how much guns the various providers have, the various dealers have. We don't know. And a report that I looked at indicated that FUL dealers here are not providing the TTPS with up-to-date data and statistics about how many guns they've imported. Customs and Excise not providing the TTPS with updated figures about how many guns have come in legally into the country. So the TTPS, whose Commissioner of Police is the person who has oversight about guns legally coming into the country, the Commissioner of Police does not have up-to-date statistics from FUL dealers or from customs about all of the guns that are being imported through legal channels. And that is a serious concern. That is something that we cannot be looking at lightly, because we like to think that all of the guns that we're hearing about are guns that people bringing in from through Latin America. There's every possibility that some of those guns that we are hearing about being involved in crime have been brought in by businessmen here, by legal businessmen. And because they have stock just sitting down and nothing doing, they have found ways to move the stock around. So when you look at those figures and you look at the time period for the figures, and you understand that the industry that everybody thought was going to explode shrank, you have to pause and ask yourself, what happened with those guns? Where are those guns now? What happened with all them bullets? Where are those bullets now? And because the only way you can fingerprint a gun and fingerprint the ballistics attached to a gun is that it has to pass through, guns have to be fired off inside the forensic center, and that's not functioning efficiently. And FUL dealers are not providing timely data and statistics to the TTPS. Then all I need to pause and think. All need to pause and think some hard thoughts. So that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and is for the longest while I want to come and talk to you about these statistics here, because I found those statistics very, very, very chilling. And you know the interesting thing? It's not the first time these statistics in the public domain. The Prime Minister read out this information a couple months ago. And it is when the information was read out a couple months ago, I begged and asked persons to please get their hands on that data for me so that I would be able to talk about the data, because I think it is important for you to have seen those figures from 2016 to 2022 and ask yourself, this industry that was supposed to expand, when it didn't expand, what happened to all the stock? Where the stock is? All them bullets, all them guns. Right. Where is I was real going and talk about the presence of Venezuelans in Trinidad, but I feel I'm leaving that alone. I'm leaving that alone for this evening. I do, however, want to go into I want to talk about the Ansa Macal Bacchanal. I can't not talk about the Ansa Macal Bacchanal with all you. So where do I start? How do I start this? How do we get into this? Let me start here. So your girl wake up a morning, and this is the first thing your girl see when she wake up that morning. I see my boy Frank, my favorite judge in the whole judiciary. You'd have a car outside. Kevin, there's a car outside in the road that feel it is a mobile dance hall. Right. So I wake up and I see this story. Now, I want you to understand something. I, as a woman, see this story like everybody else. Online, it show up, right? So Frank, they're looking cute, right? Feeling cute. Might write up a ruling later. So my boy Frank was the judge for this thing. So answer, I see, take 6 employees and used car dealers to court. So I say, but just so? Where does story come out from? So I post up this story. And not too long after I post up the story, real people start to fly in my inbox and saying, girl, this thing real nasty, and the figures they giving you in the story, that is not all the figures, because people ain't even sure how much money it is, blah 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 blah. So I am here to give you all a sense of what it is went on with that Ansa Macal deal. So let me line up my ducks and turkeys and them here and start to explain things to all you. What's the first document I want to show all you, boy? So let me tell all you how the racket was running. So based on my sources, there is a big convoluted racket that took place that involved Answer Bank. It also involved Massey Financing, and both those entities were the victims of a huge fraudulent racket. So the first thing you see in here is a letter of employment, right? So foreign car dealers, ROR, roll-on, roll-off car dealers, started up a racket that involved the dealership, employees at the bank, and random individuals. So people, random individuals, would be asked to provide their name and person to apply for a loan. So this here is a fake letter of employment, because the used car dealers were hiring people who could forge things. So the forgers would use information from the company's directory and the company's registry. So our Ministry of Legal Affairs also indirectly implicated in this. So they would make sure that there were actual registered companies in the company's directory. So it's not a situation where you go to apply for the loan and you show up with your job letters and bank statements or whatever else have you, and it's not an actual company that you're working for. So it would be actual companies that registered in the company's registry, but these aren't companies that are actually functioning. So they're registered, but they're not actually functioning, right? Nobody's doing anything with the companies. So a fake letter of employment would be set up, right? And the letter is done up. And you see this one here, Wednesday, the 12th of April, 2023. And it was created to say that this confirms that the person has been employed with our company since 2019 and his net salary is $40,000. Well, it was actually $41,500. The person is honest and hardworking and a valuable member of our team. So you have a job letter from 2019 that's showing that the person working at least 3-4 years with a company, right? And so there you have it, job letter. Now let me show you the next document that would be made available. You would then go into the bank with your job letter and a series of bank statements. And these are all examples of a set of fake bank statements made up for one of the persons who took out one of those fake loans with Answer Bank, right? So it was, this is what, March, February, April, right? So February, March, April. And you have your 3 months of bank statements. After your 3 months of bank statements, remember, you going in and the people who working in the loans department in Answer, they are part of the racket. So within 3 days, your loan gets processed and organized. You going in and, oh, I forget to also tell you, in some instances, you might actually be going in with fake ID. So you're going in with a fake ID, fake job letter, fake bank statements. The loan gets taken out and the money goes from Answer Bank straight into the accounts of the car dealership, right? The other thing that was taking place is, now in all of this, there's no real car. There's no actual car, right? But you would have, let me see if I could find it because I believe I have it saved here. Let me show you what you'd have. You'd have a forged certificate of ownership from licensing. So part of the racket, sorry, was these forged certificates of ownership They weren't actual certificates of ownership because they were, it was being recreated, right? So it was a forged certificate of ownership. And after you do the forged certificate of ownership, you would then get fake insurance. Well, when I say fake insurance, you would go to an insurance company with the forged certificate of ownership and you would get insurance for the car that doesn't exist. Now remember, when you go to these insurance with your brand new car, nobody asking to see the car. They believe that the car exists. You have the certificate from licensing office. You have the invoice you have the loan from the bank, and you also have the invoice from the car dealership. So with all of that paperwork, which is compromised because it is all premised on fake documents to get the loan, you would then get insurance for a vehicle that doesn't exist. Now this is where the racket gets sweet. So you've taken out a loan and you get paid about $40,000-$50,000 to take out this loan. And that's one of the things you need to understand. So you using your name and whatever is to get the loan, you are paid about $40,000 or $50,000 to take out this loan. Then the dealership, I'm told, would pay would pay the loan for the vehicle based on the money that they would have got, the loan money that they would have gotten, right? And then with the insurance on the vehicle, the plan was to report the vehicle as stolen and then cash in the insurance on the stolen vehicle and use that to pay off the loan. So that is how that racket ran for however many years, because apparently it would have started somewhere around 2021 thereabouts and come into 2023, and it is only when a whistleblower raised the talk that people realized that there was a whole complex racket taking place inside of Answer Bank. And here's one of the interesting things. Alston Shipping, which is actually part of Answer Macal, was one of the shipping companies that the foreign used car dealers was using to bring in roll-on, roll-off cars. So there is a whole intricate situation with Answer Bank, the car dealers, because the car dealers have bank accounts with Answer. So it would have been 6 clients at the bank. It would have been bank employees who would have been part of the entire racket. And it appears as if at least one insurance company was, if not part of the scheme, one insurance company was used in this scheme. And like I said, this didn't happen only with Answer. It also happened with Massey. But I don't have the details for that. I'm told that Massey was also compromised in the entire thing. And so that is what's going on there. Why is it important to you? It's important to you simply for this. Because of what happened there with the whole Know Your Customer process. People coming in with fake job letters, fake bank statements. In some instances, I was told that there were even fake wire transfers that were created. I don't know how the fake wire transfers work into that, but fake wire transfers were part of the entire process. And because of all of those things taking place, it means that banks will now have to tighten up on the entire loans process, and that is going to directly affect everybody. So what this happened with one bank with 6 clients, but it is going to have implications for all persons who are going to banks now, because they're going to be scrutinizing your job letters. They're going to be scrutinizing your bank statements. They're going to scrutinize all of those things because so many fraudulent documents were used to be able to access the money. And this is the juicy part. I am told it's more than $100 million that was stolen in the process of this scam. More than $100 million. That is real money. Where am I? Right. So coming full circle. I started doing these lives back in May 2020 when the pandemic hit. And I started doing these lives back in May 2020 because I felt that there was a lot of fake news being reported as real news. We have a lot of MVPs in the area of media. We have a lot of persons who invariably doing their master's bidding while working at media houses. And I felt then that it was important to jump in and add a certain amount of sanity to what was taking place in the social media space and in the mainstream media space. Because we were all looking at the press conferences and we knew something was wrong with how media was performing. We knew that media was basically feeding us shit. We were able to tell that from looking at the press conferences and seeing how underprepared they were to ask questions and listening to the very stupid questions that they were asking. We also were in a position to see how they would be given correct information at the press conference and almost immediately repeat the information erroneously. There would be people who would have looked at the press conferences, and when they saw the headline stories in the papers online or in the newspapers or on the news afterwards, they would say, but that's not what was said at the press conference. And so as a result of that, I felt it was important to kind of jump in and do analysis. Now, over the last 3 years or so, 2020 to now is at least 3 years. Over the last 3 years, there's been a lot that I have tried to do, either via the lives, and there's also a lot that I've tried to do on my page, the New Source page, to get you to question things and to get you to start thinking about news, information, agendas, biases, and of course, how to source information properly, and also how to triangulate data, how to look at information from multiple perspectives and multiple spaces and pull it together to be able to formulate an opinion that is informed, not an opinion that is based on feelings and emotions. And I feel that a lot has happened in the last 3 years. I feel like from 2020 to now, how you all look at news, how you all look at information has changed. And so I feel I've done what I set out to do, which was what I wanted to do back then, but only for a short period of time, because I had only thought that I would have done it for the duration of the press conferences for for COVID. And I didn't realize that COVID was going to stretch into more than a year. I actually thought that those press conferences would have only gone for 3-4 months or something like that. So I didn't think that it was going to stretch into something long and drawn out. And I also didn't think that I would continue to do these lives, moving from COVID related things to politics and current affairs and all of that. I didn't think so. However, I did. I enjoyed it a lot. But I also feel that I'm at a point where I need to do other things. That's the best way for me to put it, without going into too many details. I need to try other things, experience other things, do other things. And I also need to take a nice long break from social media. And that's where I'm headed. So, all of that to say, this was a lot of fun. But it's time to wrap it up. It's time to pack it up. Even if it's just for a bit. Because I don't know. You never know. I will not be a person to say never. But I certainly think there is a lot that I did. There's a lot that we did together that we should be very satisfied about, very proud about. And when you see me out in public and thing, hail me out, because it's highly unlikely that you're going to be seeing me here in the near future. So it was entirely lovely doing what I did, but it's time for me to do something different. So thanks for joining me for all of it. And remember, we jamming still.
Everybody get ready, no, ready, no. We the best.